from getting on a bike. But it needs to be said, we have to stop these tragedies from happening. Last week brought it all into sharp relief for me. On Tuesday, we launched Vision Zero, an ambitious plan to eliminate deaths on our roads by 2041. We outlined our intention to reduce the speed limit on all roads that are under TfL control in the congestion charging zone, and on main roads across London where evidence shows it will improve road safety. We know that if you're a pedestrian and you're hit by a car at 30 miles per hour, you're about 5 times more likely to die than if you were hit at 20. We also know that well-designed streets can naturally slow traffic, and we know that safer vehicles have to become the norm, including buses and lorries, which are disproportionately involved in the worst accidents. Vision Zero set out our plans in all of these areas. The day after its launch on Wednesday, a female cyclist was dragged under a cement mixer on the Old Street roundabout and was taken to hospital in a critical condition. The images were horrific, but would have been nothing compared to the trauma and the terror of the victim herself. It could have been me. It could have been many of you sat in this room today. I can't undo what happened last week, but I will do everything in my power to ensure that we bring down the rate at which pedestrians and cyclists are killed and seriously injured on London streets. If we want more people to be active, our roads need to be safe and they need to feel safe. And that brings me to last Thursday. A week ago today, it was announced that Westminster Council had successfully sought an injunction to stop us starting work to remove the gyratory at Swiss Cottage as part of the first phase of CS11. Anyone who has ever set foot outside of that tube station will know that you are immediately confronted with 5 lanes of busy traffic, a hostile, unpleasant environment for anyone walking or on a bike. In a week when a woman was in hospital fighting for her life, Westminster Council stopped Transport for London from starting work on a scheme a few miles away to reduce road danger. It's a disgrace, and there's no other way to describe it. We won't be able to make our roads safer if we are fighting other public authorities in court rather than working together to deliver change. We won't be able to reduce the number of people killed or seriously injured on our streets if politicians of all hues and at all levels of London government don't wake up to what is happening out there and take their responsibilities seriously. I remember when I was a councillor in Lewisham, delivering TfL-funded schemes on our high streets, installing traffic calming and planning new road layouts, including, as it happens, the removal of a 1970s gyratory. If you'd listened to people objecting at the time, you would have thought that the world was about to stop spinning. There will always be someone who will object. There will always be someone who comes up with a better, if undeliverable plan. There will always be someone who believes that displaced traffic will end up outside their front door and that it will have a detrimental effect on their quality of life. Sometimes, a politician's instinctive reflex to please their natural voter base or to preserve the status quo is quite literally dangerous. No one is saying you shouldn't engage and listen carefully to objections or amend proposals where you can, but sometimes you just have to stick to your guns. When I was at Lewisham, we treated the advice we received from highway professionals in the same way as you would treat advice from a qualified doctor. If they prescribe a course of treatment, do it, because why take a chance on the consequences if you don't? I would not have been able to live with myself were a child to have died on a road where I had decided not to proceed with a safety scheme. Some might call that risk averse. I call it a moral responsibility. The frustrating thing about all of this is that we have reached a point in time where the sands of public opinion are starting to shift, and where the Mayor and Transport for London have robustly evidenced, well-funded and properly thought out plans to make our streets and town centres safer, cleaner and greener. Will Norman, our Walking and Cycling Commissioner, has worked collaboratively with boroughs to find solutions on schemes where previously none existed. We've started to see good quality infrastructure for cyclists and pedestrians delivered. but we want to get on and do so much more. Forget the first generation of the cycle superhighways, where there was a lot of paint and not a lot of anything else. Elephant and Castle is transformed. Cycle superhighways 3 and 6 have seen an uplift in the numbers of people cycling of 54 and 32% respectively, and some of the quiet ways are attracting a new and more diverse group of people onto their bikes. I am clear that new cycle routes, no matter what they are called, are all equally important. Seeing new infrastructure built on main roads is critical if people are going to be stimulated into changing their behaviour. But cycling along a segregated track, just a metre or so away from busy traffic, won't be for everyone. We need